You ever wonder how to turn a perfectly normal flight into a federal investigation with just one sentence? Well, you're about to find out. They say air travel is the safest form of transportation, and statistically, that's true. The odds of dying in a plane crash are about 1 in 11 million, which means you're more likely to be struck by lightning, attacked by a shark, or win the lottery while being struck by lightning. But here's the thing. Knowing the odds doesn't always help. For many people, flying is still a nerve-wracking experience. Whether you've flown once or 100 times, there's always that one moment when you quietly grip the armrest and your brain is constantly thinking, what if? So, the last thing anyone needs on a flight is someone saying something that makes it worse. Whether you're trying to be funny, edgy, or just don't know when to zip it, here are 10 things you should absolutely, 100%, never say on a plane if you don't want to get the death stare from the entire cabin. Number 8. Don't talk about previous crashes. You'd think this one is a given, but you'd be surprised what people use as icebreakers these days, especially your Kevin Hart wannabes, or generally just nervous people. But let's be clear, this is not something you talk about on a plane. So, take this as a rule of thumb, whether it is a story of an actual plane crash or a fictional story from some movie, keep it away from the plane, and honestly, maybe even from the airport altogether. Just don't. Anything involving planes going down should stay as far away from the airport as possible. This isn't the time for your final destination monologue or your deep dive into that documentary you watched about flight disasters. Number 7. I'm not a terrorist. Next, you don't even want to mention anything with the word terrorist in it. Not in a joke, not in a whisper, not even in the middle of a sentence where you're clearly saying you're not one. It doesn't matter how innocent your intentions are. The moment that word leaves your mouth, the mood shifts instantly. The crew is trained to take that seriously, and honestly, who can blame them? In fact, here's a real-life story that proves how fast things can escalate. Back in 2013, travel blogger Matthew Clint was flying with United Airlines. He snapped a photo on board, as travel bloggers do, and a flight attendant rushed over to shut it down. Trying to clear the air, Clint said, "I want you to understand why I was taking pictures. I hope you didn't think I was a terrorist. Here is my business card," offering her one. "I write about United Airlines on my blog." Didn't matter. Moments later, a global services rep showed up and told him, "The captain is not comfortable with you on this flight." Translation? He got booted before takeoff and had to find another way to Istanbul. So, if you can't even say you're not a terrorist without getting kicked off a plane, you definitely shouldn't joke that you are one. Because once that word's in the air, you might not be for long. Number 6. Hijack or guns. It's probably smart not to use the word hijack. Let's say you're walking up to your buddy, his name's Jack, and you go, "Hi, Jack," out loud in the middle of TSA. Yeah, you might have just triggered a full-blown security alert without even realizing it. Okay, sure, maybe that sounds like an overreaction, but in this day and age, better safe than sorry. Airports are not the place for jokes, especially not ones that sound even remotely like threats. Also, you don't want to mention the word gun or anything gun-related. Don't even think about calling your biceps guns. Just don't. You might think you're funny, but to airport security, you're now a potential threat. Best case, they pull you aside, dig through your stuff, ask 100 questions, and delay you long enough to miss your flight. Worst case, you're spending the night in a holding cell trying to explain that you were just talking about arm day at the gym. People have gotten detained over less. And trust me, they don't care if you have a connecting flight in 20 minutes. Once you're flagged, you're stuck. This next one is probably the most important point in this video. Number 5. Never say anything remotely close to pilots drinking alcohol. This particular one is actually way more serious than you think. Pilots and airlines don't take things like this lightly. A flight attendant once recapped a story where during boarding one time, a dad and his young son asked if they could peek into the cockpit. You know, like how kids get all excited seeing the pilots and the buttons and the lights. But then, the dad casually throws out this joke. None of you guys have been drinking, right? What this guy clearly didn't realize is that pilots don't just laugh off comments like that. They're trained to treat even the smallest hint of substance use seriously, because it's literally a federal offense and a massive liability for everyone involved. So what happened next? The captain shut that whole moment down. He told the dad and the kid to go ahead and take their seats, and then immediately called up the chief pilot and requested an on-the-spot alcohol test for both himself and his co-pilot. Not because he'd done anything wrong, but because he had to legally protect himself in case anything happened later during the flight. See, what most people don't know is that cockpits are constantly recording audio, conversations, everything. So if something were to go wrong mid-flight, like a medical emergency, an evacuation, or God forbid, a crash, that joke would be played back by investigators. And suddenly, it wouldn't be just a joke anymore. It could be used in court. It could be twisted into a negligence claim. The pilot could be sued. The airline could be sued. Careers ruined, reputations gone, all because of one dumb, offhand comment. In this case, the story ends with a 45-minute delay because the person who does alcohol and drug testing wasn't immediately available. Yep, the whole plane sat there, waiting, while this mess got sorted out. And honestly, good on that captain for doing the right thing. So, yeah, next time you're at the airport or stepping onto a plane, maybe just keep the jokes to yourself, especially when it comes to alcohol, drugs, bombs, or anything that even sounds like a red flag. Airport and airline staff are legally bound to report anything that might pose a threat, and they're not going to risk their careers for your punchline. Number 4. Does that door open during flight? What would you even need that information for? Why would you ask such a question? Keep your curiosity for some other place, because saying this on a plane just makes you sound crazy. And in case it isn't already clear, let's make this crystal clear. Do not say anything that could make you look mentally unstable or like you're not okay, even if you're just being sarcastic or trying to be funny. Flying is already stressful enough without you throwing in a, haha, what if this plane just disappeared like that one in the Bermuda Triangle kind of joke. Stop it. As travel expert George Habakkuk once said, flying is a pretty serious enterprise. And honestly, he's not wrong. This isn't your group chat or a late-night FaceTime with your best friend. This is the airport, and it's not the place to test out your unhinged humor. Security agents are trained to look for red flags, and if you start acting too quirky or saying stuff that's off, don't be surprised if you suddenly find yourself surrounded by TSA officers asking you to step aside. This next one needs to go straight into the don't say this on a plane unless you want to get side-eyed into oblivion list. Number 3. Can you bump me up to first class? I'm uncomfortable here. Unless you're ready to swipe your card and cover the price difference right there on the spot, asking to be bumped to first class just because you're uncomfortable is kinda wild. Like, respectfully, everyone is uncomfortable. We're all packed into this flying tin can with zero legroom, a crying baby in the row behind us, and a tray table that barely fits a sandwich. You're not special. Now, if you did book an economy seat and later decide you want that warm towel and glass of champagne that comes with first class, you better check before takeoff and be prepared to pay up. Flight attendants are not fairy godmothers. They can't just tap you with a wand and magically transport you into a cushy seat up front. And here's the thing, saying this kind of stuff puts flight attendants in a weird spot. Like, what are they supposed to do? Move you up for free while the person next to you paid over $1,000 for that same spot? Nope, not happening. And if you're just fishing for sympathy or trying to guilt trip them with a dramatic, "my seat is so uncomfortable" performance, trust, they've seen it all. Number 2, I just think fat people should pay by the kilo. You see, this isn't just a rude comment, it's straight up fatphobic, offensive, and entirely unnecessary. And while no, you probably won't get kicked off the plane for saying it, unless you really double down and cause a scene, don't be surprised if you get hit with some serious side eyes. Or worse, a full-on dragging on social media if the wrong person hears you. Number 1, the F word or any curse word. If you think you can just casually throw around curse words on a plane like you're in your group chat, you better think again. Getting kicked off a flight for swearing might sound extreme, but trust me, it happens all the time. And no, you don't have to be out here yelling or starting a fight. Just one badly timed F-bomb in the wrong tone can get you booted. You see, flight attendants have a lot of power. Under federal law, they can remove you from a flight if they feel like you're causing a disturbance or being inappropriate. And guess what? It doesn't matter what you think is harmless. The only opinion that counts is theirs. If they say you're a problem, boom, you're a problem. Gerald C. Stearns, who's a California-based aviation attorney, aka someone who knows what he's talking about, says a flight attendant can simply claim you may interfere with their duties. And that alone is enough to get you kicked off. It doesn't even have to escalate. If they perceive you as a threat to the peace of the cabin, that's it. No second opinion, no debate. They make the call and you're out. And let's be real, flight attendants don't want to deal with drama. They're already managing 100 other things in a pressurized metal tube full of hungry, impatient people. If you start acting up, swearing under your breath, or even snapping at someone in frustration, they're not going to pull you aside and ask if you're okay. Nope. They'll call ground control, and next thing you know, security is escorting you off the plane while everyone pulls out their phones to record. So yeah, final rule, don't joke, don't be weird, don't play games, say your prayers silently, zip your bag, drink your overpriced airport coffee, and keep it moving. We're all just trying to get from point A to point B without ending up on a no-fly list. So, what do you think? Did we miss anything? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments section. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos like this.